Okay, I'm about to do some profiling of some cane. I've already gouged and shaped cane. Before I go to the next process, the gouging process on this is something that leaves not quite a smooth surface on the back side. Basically, the blade that comes in rips strips of cane out here. And so I will take a tube with a piece of sandpaper on it, and I will smooth out the cane with the sandpaper before I go on. I'll usually do that a couple of times, wetting it with saliva in between. The saliva will raise the grain, and so smoothing it out helps. It also helps the break-in process and makes things a little bit faster. Okay, so I have here a single profiler. This happens to be a Popkin profiler from the late 80s. It's a nice profiler. It works very well. There are many other commercially available kinds of profilers. A single profiler for me is just plenty. If I profile too thin, my personal preference is not to profile too thin because I have problems forming the reed after that. If it's too thin, the tube collapses on me. And so I tend to profile something so that it's about 4 to 5 thousandths thicker than what my final reed it should be. So 4 or 5 thousandths of an inch thicker than that. So I set the piece of cane into the barrel, and I align it at one end and tighten up the band, and then reverse it and center it again at the other end of the band. Okay, then I drop this into my profiler. I like to profile dry, with the cane dry. It forms a smoother cut. It also makes it so that my blade on my profiler doesn't rust, and so I can work with it. This particular blade hasn't been sharpened in years and still works just fine. Okay, so I'm there. I put the carriage here, and I set it to the back, and I start working on one side and going across. I make sure that I go fully to the stop where the shoulder of the reed would be, and I make my cuts across, turning the barrel as I go, and then I go back across and make a set of cuts. And I try to make sure that I'm forming a fairly good lip here, shoulder, and then I reverse my carriage and I do the same thing. It's important that you keep on reversing these because the cutter in the slide here has well, sometimes little bits of cane will roll up against this, but there's a stop here, and that will ride up against thicker parts of the cane. And so when you come across, if you only work on one side, you'll get a bump here because this little roller will hit up on the other side. So I'll go back across. And you'll see that as by the second time I've been doing this, I'm only cutting in this portion of the reed. The back has already been formed. Okay, so I've gone across, and I've got to the point where things are pretty good. I'll reverse it once more, and then here I don't feel like I need to lift the carriage each time because I'm only rubbing on the cane a very small amount. And I reverse. And I'm done. Okay. Undo my bands, and I've got a nicely gouge-shaped and profiled piece of cane ready to go on to the next step of the remaking process. Okay, thank you. Bye.